Hello everybody, welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is March 8th, and today we're doing government and security news.
We're in a situation where world events definitely show us how technology changes the course of human events, intentionally and unintentionally.
Almost every news headline is just...
it's overwhelmingly what you think it's going to be. So, probably going to get demonetized.
I mean, we haven't confirmed that YouTube's demonetizing it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure they will.
You know how
They
YouTube
do.
is. Anything sensitive, they're not going to do.
Yeah.
Well, there is just a potpourri of companies who have privately gotten on board with cutting out Russia. And we're not going to list them all. We'll just hit some of the highlights. Maybe if you guys think of some that you know. We know of Apple. We know Nike. I think Microsoft, right? Facebook. Oracle's out. Visa, MasterCard.
Mm-hmm. OnlyFans.
Oh, Pornhub. Pornhub is reportedly out. So, here's just an example.
Ukrainian government calls for game companies to cut off Russia during the invasion. So that's CD Projekt Red, and they heeded the call. And
they're Polish, so they have some skin in the game.
Yeah. They're probably feeling a little nervous, more so than any of us here in the U.S.
Yeah.
But none of the really big boys. They were looking for Microsoft and Sony, but so far I don't think that they've agreed.
Steam has not followed suit. Now, you can't buy things from Microsoft, but you can still play the stuff that you have. So
That seems fair.
Steam, they probably need the Russians for the CSGO skins, right? The marketplace.
yeah, did you read the update? It was like, we're not really asking for that.
No, I did not read the update, but this is just this is an example of some of the things. So Ukraine, and you can't blame them for it. I mean, they're in a tough spot. They're asking for anything that they can get, and they're asking for some really far-reaching stuff. This is an example of that.
Yeah, the Register reported that ICANN was asked to delete all Russian domains, but then there was kind of a follow-up that was, well, not really all domains, but can you block some of the other things? Of course, turnabout's fair play. Russia published a list of all of the IP addresses that are currently denial of servicing their websites to take them offline. The IP address had thousands and thousands of addresses. The website for both the DOJ and the FBI were in that list, which I somehow doubt are contributing to the denial of service.
But the distributed in that case is not necessarily botnets. That might just be people running the low orbit ion cannon as...
The web server that serves doj.gov is definitely not DDoSing the Kremlin. I'm just throwing that out there.
You don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
And here is never let a crisis go to waste. I can't remember who said that. I think it was one of Obama's mentors. But boy, do they play that to the T. And this scares me because this kind of thing gives the people in power the ability to shut down things they don't like, because all they have to say is it helps the Russians.
EU seeks to prevent the use of crypto to avoid Russia sanctions. And actually, we have a bunch of stories about this. U.S. and allies begin cutting Russia out of international financial system SWIFT.
I think that's happened at this point, right?
Yes.
Wait a minute. That was the wrong one.
Oh, we mixed up.
It was supposed to be this one next.
U.S. lawmakers push Treasury to ensure Russia cannot use cryptocurrency to avoid sanctions. This is Reuters. So, yes, special investigations have already opened up. Look, crypto is traceable. It's actually better than cash. All of the stuff, this is so insane, because if you just go back, just 5 or 10 years to headlines, which are already on the internet and you can index, they talk about, having a C-137 with pallets of American cash. And it's it's American cash, it's untraceable, blah, blah, blah. That is more untraceable than cryptocurrency. And they're freaking out about cryptocurrency. Guess what? The pallets of cash still exists.
But they can't control cryptocurrency.
But they can control pallets of cash?
Yeah.
Because it's physically
they're the ones
unwieldy?
that put those pallets on that plane.
It's easier for them to control it right now.
So the thing about it is, we talk about war crimes. We talk about going after him after the fact. That doesn't matter, because you're not going to get into that country without an army.
Yeah.
So I do think that, they might be able to use crypto on some level, but probably we're just going to get screwed by it. We're going to get screwed hard by it.
Yeah.
And, of course, the big one that was off the table for 3-4 days. This thing moves so fast. It's crazy.
It really does.
It's only been, 8 days, 9? Maybe day 3, they were still saying, nah, we can't do that. And then, of course, he escalated over and over. So now we have done this.
U.S. and allies began cutting Russia out of the international financial system SWIFT. So, yeah, initially this was off the table. And then it almost was like, oh, we're not immediately going to face that? Oh, let me dial it up a little bit. And then it was like, okay, we're going to turn that off. But, a lot of people in Russia have no idea what's happening, I think.
Seems that way. To be fair, a lot of people in America probably don't know what's happening.
I think in Russia it's more like older people don't know what's going on, but younger people who are connected to Western social media kind of have an idea of what's going on.
But there's so much disinformation on social media, I'm sure that they don't have the clearest picture.
Krista, I want you to think about all the work that we do every week putting this together, and it's just really the technology focus on things. But, the element has gotten so clued in to, younger people are not, it doesn't matter that the billionaires control traditional media anymore. Now they're just flooding the airwaves with crap, or the digital waves with crap. And so it's, even for us, it's very hard to
discern what's real, what's not, what's just noise, and what's actually important.
I have a theory that, because ultimately, I don't think anybody has a reasonable answer for why. Right? We know he wants Ukraine. But it seems like such an insane way to go about this. I think, unless he's just insane, which, that's on the table. Unless he's just insane, he's looking at the youth of America, the woke culture, and Europe, too. Europe's actually probably a little bit worse. And he's seeing that in his own country, and he knows that his power, he can't run those people.
Because they just won't do anything.
They just won't tolerate it. He'll get, maybe the truckers sparked something in his mind. He was like, oh.
Truckers with Molotov cocktails? Yeah.
This could be an issue. Yeah. How do I get my hands around this? How do I ring fence my country and cut everything off from them that's Western? He has done that. I don't know if the long game's going to work out for him, but
I don't think that's true.
What's your theory?
Oh, I think he wants Ukraine because it's the breadbasket and they have a lot of oil.
Well, it's obvious that he wants Ukraine, but he's doing an insane thing to get it. It doesn't seem like it's something that's going to work long term.
Yeah, I kind of thought he would just go for the eastern part, but he seems to be going for the whole thing all at once. Maybe something changed during his calculations as it was happening. I don't know.
The brain cancer ate the part of his brain that helps him make rational decisions.
That's the strange. Insane branch of the workflow, in which case that invalidates it for sure. Well, Ukraine needs money. They are getting a lot of aid, but it's hard to get it into the country. They're trying to raise more money. And, of course, because this is 2022 and we live in an insane world where things that aren't real are real, they're going to do this.
Ukraine turns to NFTs for war funding after raising $46 million in cryptocurrency. Now, they did raise $46 million in cryptocurrency. Newsweek talks about an airdrop. That's probably not happening.
They did announce that, though.
They really backpedaled hard on this, but they are still accepting cryptocurrency donations, so you can give that to them. So, crypto is just like cash. It's a sword that cuts both ways.
But NFTs.
I mean, yeah.
And you definitely probably don't want to own one of those if you're in a country where you might get targeted for that.
Yeah.
That would be bad. But, I mean, if you're going to buy an NFT, that's probably the one to get, right? At least something good can come of it. Maybe.
It doesn't matter if it's an NFT or any other thing. If you have an asset that you think is untraceable and they can trace it to you, they'll just come to your house and beat you with a wrench until you give it to them. That could happen here in America, too.
Yeah. Got to watch out for that. Well, here in the US of A, we had, somewhat eclipsed by it was...
Oh, no. Why is this happening?
Is that second phone making noises?
Yes.
State of the Union. Biden gave the State of the Union and clearly had to be rewritten like the day before.
Yeah.
Because, he stumbled through it like he always does. But one thing that he brought up that should be interesting to all of us...
Biden to Congress passed this bill to fund U.S. chip manufacturing. The president also called for more privacy protections on social media. Well, the burn pit thing passed the House, but this is still sort of languishing. That's the Ohio thing, by the way.
Intel wants more tax dollars, and they're going to give them to him if that bill passes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're un-American, right? That's how they'll spin it.
Well, yeah, they're selling it as like this protects us.
Meanwhile, Global Foundries is like, please, sir, may I have some more?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably not completely wrong in this context, but it's going to pass based on it's un-American not to pass it.
Now that is something on the level that can still get a little bit of movement behind it, even during war. I'm not so sure about this stuff. I think maybe it's time to push this to the side. You know, I mean, TikTok, is it bad for children? Probably, but maybe now's not the time.
Attorney General Healey co-leads bipartisan nationwide investigation into TikTok. They're only about 5 years late.
How long's TikTok been around?
It's been around for a while. At least like 2 or 3 years at least.
So they're saying, well, we all know that this makes kids depressed and gives them bad body images and makes them kill themselves. You know, social media. I don't know what they're going to do about it. And it's not just us that wants those chip dollars. Everybody is suddenly realizing that they need chip fabrication.
Wooing Intel, Italy plans $4.6 billion fund to boost chip making. Of course, Intel, Intel's going to move into Italy and, expand their chip making presence there and tax rebates and that kind of thing. But, in the last several dozen Intel press releases, they talk a lot about AMD. They name AMD specifically in a lot of their press releases about how this competes with AMD or that competes with AMD. Can't help but notice Intel going for Italy because all of AMD's code names, Rome, Barcelona, Naples. Did anybody tell Intel that that's not where the secrets of the success are coming from?
I think you might be reading a little bit into that.
So put on your tinfoil hat.
I was like, they keep naming these things after cities in Italy. What's so special about
That's their secret.
Does that mean that AMD should start buying lakes?
Yeah, maybe.
The Great Lakes. Just buy them all. Well, here's a story that's an update that we get every week now, and I imagine we will for some time to come because I don't think Apple is ever going to do anything about this.
TechCrunch. Apple hit with 6th antitrust fine over Dutch dating apps and payments.
Nothing more to it.
That's not a repeat. That's 6 weeks in a row.
More. What was it? 7?
It's $5.7 million a week.
Whew. I mean, that's nothing to Apple, but that's a lot to me. I would be upset if I was billed that much week to week.
You should ask them if you could have some of that. And BitConnect, if you will recall, had a bit of a collapse. And
we reported on that.
Everybody wondered what happened. Did they get hacked? What happened to BitConnect? Well, it was a little simpler than that.
Founder of cryptocurrency company BitConnect charged in a $2.4 billion fraud. This is a little bit of a follow-up to last week, but they've charged him. He's in custody.
Oh, no. Did they get him? I thought he was missing the last time.
Oh, was he missing? I thought they got him. I thought they found him.
If they got him, that was an update, because as of this, he was missing.
Oh, okay.
He had disappeared. How would you pronounce that name?
Satish Kumar. Oh, I can't.
You got the first one pretty good. I think that was solid.
Kirchabai? Kambani.
That's probably pretty close. Maybe some Indian viewers can
Yeah, they can
that.
tell us.
Now, we've been following the Sci-Hub saga for some time, and we know that everybody is pretty much against the Sci-Hub girl who is in power. But this shows the depth of it.
FBI gains access to Sci-Hub founder's Google account data. Google told her. And the FBI seems to be saying she used the plugin to steal credentials from the browser because you can install a browser plugin and it would automatically reshare scientific papers. Which, pirating scientific papers, is that really worth the FBI's attention?
But didn't the people agree to that?
Yes.
When they signed up?
Yes. But the FBI is saying, no, the plugin stole credentials that allowed them into sensitive areas and stole sensitive documents that certain researchers had, which is probably malarkey. But we'll see.
This is the notice from Apple that she got a while back, and the notice from Google took longer to deliver for whatever reason. So,
dear Google user,
all of her accounts are under surveillance by the FBI. Because she shares scientific papers. Sounds a little bit like the Kremlin, doesn't it?
It does.
Once again, the Spider-Man meme pops its head up.
And Ukraine has their IT army that they call it. It's not just Ukrainians. You can volunteer for it if you want. I would be very careful about that because I'm sure there's some bad players.
Russia put out a
Yeah.
memo and said that you would not be eligible for protection, which you probably weren't anyway. But
Oh no, they're talking. That's about the. So they're saying, by the Geneva Convention, I guess that's the convention you have to do it. You have to take a prisoner of war, right? It's a war crime not to do that. But they're saying if you're not Ukrainian and you're fighting, that doesn't apply to you,
yeah,
and you're going to go to Siberia.
Mm.
Anyway, the IT Army has struck out and done a number of things, and they claimed this one.
Details of 120,000 Russian soldiers, quote unquote, leaked by Ukrainian media. They're still trying to verify this. We don't know.
They said that they compared it to some of the dead names that have come out because we've announced some of the dead Russians. They couldn't find those, but then some other people said they did find some living people, contacted them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's me."
Hmm.
Who knows what to believe? You can't believe anything. We know that this war, and yes, it's a war, was kicked off, and after Putin made his announcement, like seconds after he said the word, the rockets were in the air. But even before that,
Microsoft detected destructive cyber attacks against Ukraine hours before the Russian invasion. I think there were a lot of canaries signaling at the top of their lungs.
All the troops just hang out. The Google Maps where you could see there was a traffic jam at the border.
Yeah.
and hacking has been a big part of this conflict. And who knows if this was done by somebody involved in it, or maybe this was just opportunistic, but this was a big one this week.
Hackers now demand Nvidia should make their open source drivers, or they will leak more data. So we'll cover a little bit more in depth in the business section. But Nvidia was hacked, and they were hacked big time. They got the credentials and passwords, the Intel M hashes of a good percentage of Nvidia employees, and exfiltrated about 1 terabyte of data. We'll cover it more in the business section. But
No, I think it's right here.
Oh, okay.
Just a weird sort.
I missorted again.
But this is really weird. I mean, one aspect of this is that for access to the company's VPN, the security appliance required that you have software installed on your machine so it could audit it. And so they did. And so the attackers had a machine enrolled in NVIDIA's security management software outside of NVIDIA's campus. And that's where the data was stored that was exfiltrated. So guess what?
Yeah, so NVIDIA, clearly there's some guys working at NVIDIA that understand networks and security, obviously.
So Nvidia allegedly hacks the hackers who stole the company's data. So the device management software, they said, wait a minute, that machine's not one of ours. So they told it to lock down and encrypt all of its stuff, and it did.
Now, the hackers have a Twitter account, obviously. They did make a statement that said they were able to back it up before NVIDIA got it. Who knows if that's true or not.
Yeah.
Just hacks all the way down.
It really is.
That's pretty cool, though. It's like you can't get on the VPN unless your device is enrolled in the thing. I mean, that seemed to be effective. It was just somebody was asleep at the helm.
And it seems like, as with most things between Russia and Ukraine, there's a lot of cooperation before this.
Yeah.
These were people that were kind of close. And when it came to ransomware hacker gangs, guess what? Members of both sides. So that immediately, you got to choose a side, right? Nobody on the fence here.
Conti ransomware gang, their chats have been leaked by pro-Ukrainian member. So the Conti ransomware, if you had not yet decrypted your stuff, I've got some good news for you.
So when you logged in, I guess, for your daily ransomwaring, you were met with this notice, which is very pro-Russian. And they were talking about how they're going to use their powers for pro-Russian. The Ukrainian members did not care for that, as you might imagine. It's a very dumb thing to do. Even if you believe that, I would revoke their credentials before I took that step. Elon Musk is mad because his privacy was so viciously violated because his private plane gets to be tracked like every other plane in the world. And like every other plane in the world, you can do it.
College kid's Twitter bot that stalks Musk's jet is now tracking Russian oligarchs. And I couldn't verify it before the news, but apparently Sean Hannity is going to be indicted for helping a Russian oligarch try to manage their finances. And one of the data points was this, you were able to track the movement because they changed something. They changed like the tail markers or something on the plane, and Sean Hannity had agreed to help something, but I don't know. I don't know. That may not be true. I don't know.
Is that supposed to be after the war?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of the pieces of evidence for that was something from this. Don't know. Couldn't substantiate
They
it.
should be hiring that kid. Like,
you might be hearing more about that next week. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That might not be a real thing, but you can Google that headline and it's
FBI hire that kid.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the Chinese, man, they're just feeling left out. They're like, hey guys, remember us? We're hackers too. Damn it. We want to hack.
A sophisticated new Chinese hacking tool found, spurring U.S. warning to allies. Now, this is in the South China Morning Post, and it does not paint a pretty picture of how sophisticated this tool is. So you can imagine that maybe in reality it's much, much worse.
Yeah, but they did say that it was something brand new. Usually the Chinese hackers are using a ransomware we're familiar with. This is a new variety. Hopefully it's not the Taiwan version. And we don't know, once again, who might be responsible for this. Could it be one of the warring sides? Could it be just somebody out there doing it in the normal course of things?
Angsty 14-year-old.
Yeah.
We'll probably never find out.
Cyberattack on Toyota's supply chain shuts its 14 factories in Japan for 24 hours.
That's going to cost some money.
That's going to cost some money, yeah. They were just mad because Sony's changing the way Crunchyroll works.
Take it out on Toyota.
You think Toyota specifically just really loves anime? And here's just a cautionary note, because often the truth comes out when people are trying to sell things. When you get financial data, when you get sales pitches and stuff like this, that's what happens here.
Surveillance firm says Apple is phenomenal for law enforcement. You should read this because the truth is probably right there in black and white. It talks about Google and all of the information they can get from Google with the Google warrant. See also the aforementioned, Sci-Hub warrants, but also how cooperative Apple is. And one of the things in there really underscores that when your Apple device backs up to iCloud, the backups are unencrypted. And so Apple will happily provide that. Apple won't decrypt your physical device, but Apple will happily provide the unencrypted backups from iCloud.
Surprisingly, shockingly, I would say, this guy said Facebook was the worst. The least helpful to work with. Apparently with Facebook, they're like, okay, we're going to give you a one-time login, get what you need, and then get out. And every hour, if you don't refresh that, it's gone.
Wow.
So, of course, they built a tool that refreshes.
That automatically refreshes, yeah.
I should have put this in the up front. This just goes with all the cryptocurrency roundup. Oh, the crackdown is coming. You wait.
UK intelligence agencies are investigating cryptocurrency transactions. There's already another follow-up for this one, too. This was another one. But again, couldn't substantiate it. There was a press conference this morning in the UK, and they said that they had a task force that was working with Coinbase and some other ones to get accounts. Coinbase and a couple other exchanges, because there were specific accounts that have already been flagged as belonging to the naughty class.
Well, we learned that bees are being stolen. Some was a grocery store or something had bees stolen. You wonder how often do people steal bees? Turns out it's a huge issue, a massive issue, because bees are super valuable. And here's the thing about it: bees are rented out as pollinators. Mm-hmm. So you drive your bees out, you drop them off. Somebody knows that it's bee pollination time. They go and steal them.
Beekeepers are using trackers to protect their precious hives. So these are GPS trackers. Got to air tag the hive because people are that terrible. That's really not a good sign of the bee population.
No. I got to get my pollinator garden started, chat.
Aren't bees supposed to be super sensitive to radio frequency? I wonder how they feel about that being in there.
They're very angry about it.
It was 3G that they were sensitive to. That's 5G.
How could we possibly know that? So, yeah.
All right. Well,
that was short.
That was short.
What about the darkest timeline?
I think we're already in it.
I mean, it really is the darkest timeline.
Yeah. I mean, by the time that they watch this, who knows what fresh hells have been unleashed.
Yeah, there's so much room for this to get darker.
No, well, I mean, but this episode's also short because we cut 40 minutes of what else are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a lot of news going on right now. No. I mean, most people are watching this.
Yeah.
Why would you put out a press release right now?
Right.
Unless you want to hide something, in which case we'll point it out, as we have done in the past. So, what do we got for? There's more business news than government news, other than
The obvious, yeah.
Business and social tomorrow.
Yeah, and we got more business news of the same kinds of things, like we need Starlink for internet. Don't turn the Starlink on because they're going to target you for missiles. It's like, okay. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Probably.
Bye.